A war hero, a homosexual, a mathematician. What do all these have in common? Two words: Alan Turing. And welcome to The Man, the Myth, the Legend, Alan Turing by Hunter Staton. Alan Turing was born on June 23, 1912 in Paddington, England. Alan Turing was born to Julius Turing and Ethel Stoney. Nearly 1 year after his birth, his mother Ethel Stoney left him.
Hello, my name is Ethel Stoney. This is my baby Alan Turing. Right now I'm going to be going to India, so.
Ethel had met Julius in India due to work from the British Army, so they would continue their marriage there.
Bye-bye, Alan.
Turing struggled in elementary school. He even had to be pulled from an elementary school.
Alan, pay attention!
By 1926, Turing was nearly an Olympic athlete, and he was able to do a simple task of 60 miles of biking into school.
Oh no, Alan.
Turing was somewhat of a prodigy, but sadly he struggled in other subjects. How did you know Alan Turing?
He was a student. He was bad at math, literature, science. Crap, he was bad at talking. He would try to do something, he would trip over and fall. Oh my god, he was so bad.
Turing was often reprimanded for not using conventional ways of solving problems. While Turing was in school, he became infatuated with Albert Einstein. In 1928, Turing formed a close bond with Christopher Morcom, and they worked on solving science conundrums, and they became best of friends. This bond would not last, sadly, because 2 years later, Christopher would die of unknown causes. In 1929, Turing would go on to apply to King's College and get accepted there.
Hey, look, Ma, I got accepted. Oh, wait, my mom's not here.
In 1933, Turing became infatuated with mathematics, but Hitler would throw a wrench in his plans. On September 1st, 1939, World War II began. The Allies in this war consisted of the Soviet Union, the United States, France, and the United Kingdom. The Axis consisted of Italy, Japan, and the Third Reich, or Nazi Germany. The Germans were well supplied with a new type of ship called a U-boat, which was a type of submarine. The vessels would sink down American ships that carried food and other precious resources to aid the United Kingdom. The Germans used a machine known as the Enigma, a cipher machine to develop nearly unbreakable codes for sending secret messages. The Germans would use this machine to send messages to the U-boats to inform where the American ships were. The machine had over 150 billion possible solutions to the message encryptions. Turing created a method called the bomb, an electromechanical device that could detect the settings for Enigma, allowing the Allied powers to decipher German encryptions. With the help of the Polish, French, and fellow natives of the United Kingdom, Turing was able to crack the Enigma code and stop the Germans. Turing spent most of his time working on the bomb at Bletchley Park, where he met a fantastic mathematician named Joan Clark. They worked together, and Joan in fact thought that Alan fell in love with her. Here's an interview with Joan Clark.
Early in the war, Turing had found himself attracted to a young mathematician and Bletchley cryptanalyst called Joan Clark.
I suppose the fact that I was a woman made me different. We did do some things together, perhaps went to the cinema and so on. But certainly it was a surprise to me when he said, I think his words probably were, would you consider marrying me? But although it was a surprise, I really didn't hesitate in saying yes. And then he knelt by my chair and kissed me. Though we didn't have very much physical contact. Now, next day, I suppose we went a bit of a walk together after lunch. He told me that he had this homosexual tendency. And naturally, that worried me a bit because I did know that that was something which was almost certainly permanent. But we carried on.
But being a homosexual was not easy in the United Kingdom, especially up until 1967. Homosexuals were even allowed to be imprisoned or killed. However, in 1967, the Sexual Offences Act of 1967 said a homosexual act in private shall not be an offence, provided that the parties consent thereto and have attained the age of 21 years. So that means you could spend all the time you wanted in your privacy of your own home being a homosexual. However, it's too late for Alan Turing. In 1952, Turing was prosecuted for his homosexual tendencies. He was given the choice between imprisonment or chemical castration. Castration is the removal of testicles through a chemical that makes you severely depressed and lose your libido. Alan Turing chose to do the chemical castration and became heavily depressed. And just 16 days before his 42nd birthday, he died. He died of cyanide poisoning, and there is not enough evidence to prove if it was suicide or not. He died alone on June 7, 1954 in Cheshire, England.
I'm dead.
While Turing cracked the Enigma was his crowning achievement, he was also known for many other notable accomplishments. The machine that Turing created is still used as basic teaching devices in computer science. Turing's theories about computers led to the Colossus, which is regarded as the first operational computer. Turing is also an icon as far as LGBTQ plus members go because he would often be asked and made no attempt to hide his homosexuality. Even though it was illegal, he stood up for what he believed in.
Are you gay?
I'm proud to be a homosexual.
Without the bomb or the breaking of the Enigma code, life would be drastically different. For one thing, the Americans would have never been able to deliver supplies to the United Kingdom. This in turn would starve them out and make it harder to fight in the war against the Germans. The main reason why the British won was because of the supplies they finally received from the United States. Without breaking the code, the Allies would have never won over the Atlantic, which allowed for the D-Day storming of Normandy Beach, which in turn means that the Allies would have never pushed the Nazis out, which means they could have won. Breaking the Enigma code was the only way the Allies were going to win. Alan Turing was a very accomplished man, with having a rocky start as a child to having an amazing adulthood as an amazing athlete and as well as an awesome mathematician. He was able to crack the code that helped to end the Nazi regime. However, because of his sexuality, he was persecuted against and wrongfully accused, and he was one of the most iconic LGBTQ scientists there is. He stood up for what he believed in, and he was a great, great man, and I personally aspire to be like him. I admire his tenacity and how he is smart and kind and honest, and I think that's some virtues that everybody should have, no matter what your race, sexuality, or anything is. I believe we can all learn from Alan Turing that he was a kind and honorable man, and that we should all be kind and do our part to help others. I personally want to thank Alan Turing for being such a great role model for me and future scientists of the world. I also want to thank everybody that has watched this video, and thank you for watching The Man, the Myth, the Legend, Alan Turing by Hunter Staton, and I hope you have a fantastic day.